Hello viewers, this is Major General Neelendra Kumar for the playlist in Similia in conversation with the Senior Advocate V Sudish Pai, the author of a highly appreciated and book called Legends in Law, where he has discussed some of the very well-known law personalities in India, right from the inception when the 3 chartered high courts were set up in India. Talking in that series of eminent people, the next in the line is Sir J.D. Inverarity. Now, he is a person who was known for his brilliance in forensics and also for the lion hunting, for which he used to go to African jungles when the courts were not in session or during the breaks. Would you like to talk something about him?
Inverarity, John Duncan Inverarity, his full name, is reputed to be perhaps the greatest advocate who practiced in the Bombay High Court. He was extraordinarily brilliant, and what is most remarkable about him is his proverbial memory and his competence to do so many things perfectly at the same time.
At the same time?
At the same time.
Yes.
Of course, perfectly is all right, at the same time. It is said that he would be, let me put it, he was amazingly alert, active and comprehensive, and this enabled him to do several things at the same time and all perfectly. Having read and put aside a file, he could draw up the pleadings without reference to the file, without any corrections, remembering not only the facts but the dates and names. And this he did while he sat through the evidence or arguments of a case. And when his part came, he did his role astonishingly well. It was a common sight to see him draw a pleading from a voluminous brief while plunged in the midst of a case. He would write the plain or written statement in his neat hand without a scratch or correction. There was no draft. Whatever was written was final. And when we all thought, when people thought he was absorbed in his drafting, he would suddenly jump up and object to an improper question being put to the witness. And no sooner the opponent sat down, he began cross-examining the witness as if he was all the time concentrating on hearing the evidence. His photographic memory enabled him to find out or recall anything that was once read or said. Our own great Allahabad Desai, perhaps when we talk of him, there would be occasion to say that Allahabad, as a young man, as a young lawyer, was sitting in the Bombay High Court library making notes. Seems Inverarity passed by, leaned over his shoulders, saw that notes, took the paper, tore it out, said, "Young man, learn to rely on your memory." Inverarity made no notes. Even if it was thousands of pages, he knew exactly what was where. There is an incident where he was leading...
Elephantine memory.
Elephantine memory, truly, not figuratively. He was leading Sir Chimanlal Settleward. Sir Chimanlal Settleward is the father of our first Attorney General, Motilal Settleward. In the original court. In the appeal court, Inverarity was not free, he was held up, and he asked Chimanlal to go on with the case. That case was going on, and Inverarity was just walking down the corridor when, out of sheer curiosity, he peeped into the court and found nothing was happening. Everyone was sitting and shuffling the papers. So he just walked in and said, "What's the matter? Everyone is quiet." So Chimanlal told him that they were looking for the evidence of such and such a person. "Oh, is that all?" He said. "Please see, you will find it in volume so-and-so, page so-and-so, line so-and-so, you will have it." And he had seen the brief when he argued it.
And people concerned with it were not able to find it, locate it at that point
So that is one instance of the extraordinarily phenomenal memory that Inverarity had. He had forensic courage. He could stand up to a judge and tell him he is wrong. Of course, his hobby was, he was a bachelor, his hobby was lion hunting, And in one instance, he was mauled up by a lioness. Attacked and mauled up, and it was thought that he would die of poisoning. But again, survived. The spirit survived, and he
was on his
bounced
feet
back.
again.
Yes. He would go to England for every vacation, almost 6 months.
Yes.
And by the time, of course, those days, only the steamer, by the time the ship reached Eden,
yes,
solicitors would flood to him with files, whether for his opinion or for him to appear once he was back in Bombay. That was the kind of man. Last year was his 100th death anniversary, and I had published a piece on him, which Mr. Nariman wanted me to send to the Bombay Bar Association. I did.
You did?
I did. And he died on the 5th of December 1923, holding a brief almost to the last minute of his life. It is said he was to appear in some court, but he felt uneasy, possibly a heart attack, or he had some uneasiness, some chest pain. He managed to come down the stairs holding this thing and told some young lawyer, if you're going to such and such a court, please take this case, I have it there. He was taken to his chamber, and they wanted him to shift to the hospital, which he was not keen to, but I think he was shifted to the hospital and died the next day.
And very swift end.
Yes, and the High Court was closed when he died.
Mark of respect.
Yes, High Courts are not closed when lawyers die. The Bombay High Court was closed when Inverarity died, and the funeral was led by Chief Justice Norman MacLeod, who happened to be his cousin. MacLeod's mother and Inverarity's mother were sisters. So that's the man, and his junior was Daftari.
Yes.
So what a pedigree.
Yes. With that, we move to the next person is Syed Mahmood. Now, Justice Syed Mahmood was son of Sir Syed Ahmad of the Muir College, Aligarh Muslim University later, and a remarkable, outstanding judge. But it was said that he took premature retirement and came back in law practice. Now, would you like to tell something more to the readers, to our listeners?
Syed Mahmood, to start from the end, if we may say, a tribute to him when his portrait was unveiled in the Allahabad High Court. The then Advocate General, Pandit Kaniyalal Mishra, a great name by any standards, said that he would count Syed Mahmood, I don't know whether he or Hidayatullah, both of them, amongst the 6 great judges of any place, any time. So that's the place of eminence that Justice Syed Mahmood occupies. He was extraordinary in ways more than one. You don't get another like him. Of course, as I said, quoting William Stokes, that this is what, it's here. No judgment of, Sir Whitley Stokes in his Anglo-Indian court said of Mahmood that no judgments in the whole series of the Indian law reports are more weighty and illuminating than those of Justice Syed Mahmood and Justice Muthuswamy Iyer. So that was the measure of the man.
These 2 judges have been singled out
in this thing. And Mahmood finished his education in England, came back, and was appointed a district judge in 1879 at the young age of 29. It so happened that a judgment of his went in appeal from his district court judgment to the Allahabad High Court and travelled to the Privy Council. In the Privy Council, Lord Fillmore, having read the original judgment, said, a judge who writes these judgments is not to be in the district court. He deserves to be at least in the High Court.
And that led to...
Yes, and Lord Fillmore spoke to the Secretary of State for India, and 3 years later, at the age of 32,
he was elevated.
He was elevated as a judge of the Allahabad High Court.
Must have been truly extraordinary.
Truly extraordinary.
Yes.
But then he was a very quixotic person, another thing. But his erudition and his impartiality And what the American Supreme Court laid down in 1960, he had said in 1880.
Okay.
You know, that you must have a counsel to represent you. The famous Gideon's case in America, that if you are not represented by a counsel,
Yes.
your trial is unfair. It can't be said that you had a trial. That was said around 1960 in America. He said it
Yes.
in the 1880s.
Decades ahead, 1880s.
Of course, it was a dissenting judgment.
Yes.
It was the Indian.
But nevertheless, he had the
he had the
vision to-
vision, the foresight,
Yes.
and the erudition to say that his judgments are truly remarkable. Some of them, in fact, I have listed here. This is not the
Yes.
occasion to go into those details. But unfortunately, he had a tiff with the Chief Justice.
Okay.
And that's why he resigned.
That was the root cause.
That was the root cause. And it is also said, not very charitable, that he had given himself to excessive drinking. And all this, upset the even tenor of a judicial life. He came back to the university. His father started lecturing there. But what is sad is he died at the age of 50.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Very, very
Yeah,
premature.
very young.
Yes, very young.
But he had blazed a trail of glory. If we live for 500 years, I'm sure we would not be able to achieve what he achieved in less than 50 years.
Thanks. That is truly brilliant. Stay with us. This conversation will continue.